Hi everyone, I'm Tanya Khubchandani. I'm the founder and CEO of Elixir Wellness, and we're here today for episode number 23 of our podcast, Spilling Facts. We're here to talk all about inner work and mental wellness with Ruhee Lokhandwala. Ruhee, over to you. I'd love for you to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more about what you do and how we got here.
Okay, so thank you, Tanya, for having me here. It feels really nice to be here because I've been watching a lot of your podcast, and what an opportunity just to be present here.
Thank you. We're so happy to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, to begin with, so I was a pastry chef for 12 years.
Oh, really?
And I have done, if I could say so, some fantastic work in the world of baking. And only during COVID, I made the transition to becoming a life coach.
Amazing. So tell me a little bit more about what made you decide and how you went from being a chef, if I might say, to going into life coaching.
I lost my father to COVID, and it was a very unfortunate episode which happened in my life. And what happened was I took to mental health, right? So I was seeking help, I was seeking therapy. And unfortunately, I couldn't find the help that I needed. And I think that's what made me turn to therapy and take things in my hand and say, you know what, I think I'm going to study and I'm going to do things for myself to help myself. And while doing so, I realized that there was a shift within me. So when I experienced the shift, I wanted to extend that support to people that I didn't get during my time. So that's how I got into life coaching.
So I know a lot of your work is around men's mental health. So what are the conversations going on about men's mental health? And tell us a little bit more about your work in that space.
So I think that happened because one of the reels went viral, and I was just talking by the way for men's mental health, and then it just picked up. And so I think the reason why it picked up is because that part needs attention.
Absolutely.
Right. So we've been telling men to man up. I think it's high time we tell them to open up. Okay. But just by telling people to open up, that doesn't help. You have to provide them that space, that safe space for them to just be silent. And maybe with the silence, they'll open up one day.
And do you still find, you've been in this space for a bit, do you still find that topic to be a taboo when we come to mental health for men?
I think mental health has been a taboo for everybody, yeah. It's not only for men or women. It's just कि आप पहले किसी को if you would tell कि आप mental health seek कर रहे हो, mental health support seek कर रहे हो, they would say ये पागल है क्या, you know. And to now there's so much awareness where people are coming forth. And they are talking about their issues. But the only problem that I am seeing right now is that people are coming when they are completely burnt out, right? So if you consider yourself like a cell phone, आपकी battery 50% जा रही है, you're still like, oh, I can manage, I can survive. Okay. Somehow they find their coping mechanisms. Only when they are at 2%, 5% or 2% is when they come for coaching or therapy. And that's very unfortunate.
And is that late, or you're able to sort of, or does it take you much longer to then get them to sort of open up?
It does, right? So you have lost so much of your battery life. So to refuel, okay, or to recharge you will definitely take more time, more effort, not only from my point of view, but also for the client.
So how do you get a client to open up and get prepared, or be agreeable rather, to do the inner work?
The client comes to me, right? When the client feels that he or she is crashing completely, okay, that's when they approach. The fact that they have approached is that they don't know any other way out. They don't know any other coping mechanism at that stage, right? So that's when they come to a coach or a therapist, because they are seeking help. So when they're looking at help, somewhere they have made up their mind that they need to do the work, because only when they do the work will it help them. So more so, I don't have to coax them for doing the inner work, but what I try to do is I try to start with lighter topics for their inner work. Okay, it's like to get in touch with what they once liked.
Okay.
What is the life experience that they would like to carry with themselves all their lives. Or what is that one childhood experience that brings them joy?
Okay.
Okay, so it is. So therapy is not always like that rigorous inner work. It can also be subtle, and it can be a profound experience for you.
I'm a big fan of therapy. I've been in it for many years. So
Okay.
so I can tell you firsthand that it's something that is a touchstone for me in my week. So I mean I can imagine how it is from for the clients who come to you. But I think, like you said, I reached a certain point where I was like, I really need to speak to someone
Yeah.
because I'm gonna lose it otherwise.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I had a friend who had sent me a number ages ago and was like, just reach out when you're ready, and then you procrastinate and procrastinate. So it's
Yeah.
when I was at that, maybe not 2%, maybe at a 10% mark, I finally made that call. And now it's I mean, I talking about it because I know it's a taboo and I don't want it to be. But I feel like that's been a game changer for me, and it's been what, 2021 I think I started, so it's been years. It's a Tuesday afternoons at 4 is usually fixed. Today I think is the only time when I've said, okay, this week let's do it on Thursday. But it's like a religion sort of
Yeah.
thing for me, where that's something that I have to do to sort of feel centered through my week.
Yeah.
So I get that, but it also took me a while to open up to the point where
Yeah.
I can say what I want, or um, make the notes that I need to for the next week, so that I know that I've also done the work that I've been
Yeah.
given.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's something that you experience with a lot of clients, and it takes time to really get them to
Yeah.
open up,
Yeah.
to talk about it. I want to switch a little bit to something that I know is a little bit more asked about by clients to in a therapeutic setting, and that's attachment styles in relationships. How does that affect the work that you do? How does that play in?
So, attachment styles are your blueprints, which come into existence through your childhood and through the relationships that you experience in adulthood. Okay. So, now there are four attachment styles, as you would know, and I'm sure a lot of people, even watching the podcast, would know. There's secure, there's avoidant, there's anxious, and there's anxious avoidant. Okay. Now, for people who are seeking partners, it's very important that you know what is your attachment style. Okay. And then you seek out for a partner which fits you better. Okay. Or something that at least you can tolerate. Yeah. Okay. So I think it all starts from you and it all
Recognizing
starts
yourself.
within you.
But do you feel like, so usually when you're falling head over heels for someone and you're in that phase, do you think people have that ability or awareness to sort of stop and say, okay, maybe this person is not the right fit? Because I know, like, even from personal experience, when you're in that phase, no matter what your family
Yeah.
tells
Yeah.
you or
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
anyone is, you're not going to
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So you are swayed at that time.
Yeah.
Okay. For you to think and to function is practically a little, your cognitive mind doesn't work as much. See, that's when heartbreaks come into picture, no? So when you have a broken heart, you sit with yourself, you process your emotions, you see what worked for you, what didn't work for you. You learn from that. And that's when I tell a lot of youngsters who come to me to draw a list of what are the things that you have and what are the things you would want your partners to have and what are negotiables and what are your non-negotiables.
and where does personality types play in here when we're talking about relationships and navigating this world?
So personality is developed over a period of time. So if I had to break the word personality, it is your personal reality.
Okay.
So it's what you have experienced and what filters you have in your life is how you develop your personality. So there are a lot of factors that come into the process, the nature, nurture, your relationships, your career choices, your friends. All of that helps you develop your personality.
And does that affect how people navigate through relationships then? And when coming back to attachment styles and personality, then how does that affect the navigation of relationships based on who you are?
So what happens is when people with very different personalities they come together, they have very different qualities within them. Okay. Now communication plays a very important role. like if I were to give you a metaphor here, if you think you were a guitar and you were a violin, okay, both have different sounds. Both have beautiful sounds. But if they try to convince each other that, listen, my sound is better than yours and try playing like how I do, it's never going to work, right? So it's a symphony. It is recognizing how my sound sounds like, how you sound like, and how together we can create a band. So that's when personalities come together.
But would you say opposites attract and that works, or would you say that that's more of a cause for conflict?
See, right now, the way relationships are going now, whether it is similar personalities or they are opposites, there is going to be a conflict. Okay? It is how you resolve, repair, and you come together. So there is no one size fits all. You know, sometimes when you see opposite partners, like suppose one is a planner and one is very spontaneous, right? If they have made peace with their personalities and with their way of being, they can have the most amazing trip. The planner can plan and can also be open for spontaneous activities.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also both can be planners and they can just be busy planning and they're happy because they want everything like to the point. Like they don't want to miss any place. They want to take every place. And also they can be two spontaneous people who are very happy कि कुछ हुआ तो ठीक है, नहीं हुआ तो it's like tajurba hua, like, you know, that way.
I think I would have to plan in the spontaneous time.
Yeah.
Like I'm someone who like this is breakfast, this is lunch, this is where we're going. Okay, here's free time, and these are the 10 options that.
Yeah, yeah. And then maybe you have some spaces where you're like, okay, I'll let others decide what they want.
Yeah,
Is it?
for sure. So
Yeah.
it depends. It depends on the dynamic, right? If we're traveling, is it a couple's trip? Is it a I
Yeah,
mean, now I
yeah.
don't do anything without my kids. But is it a kids and couples trip? Is it a friends and this thing
Yeah,
trip? So
yeah,
they're different.
yeah.
So if it's just the kids and me, then I know that everything we like to eat and do are similar.
Yeah,
So very
yeah.
easy. We wake up and say, okay, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
And at night we just did a holiday, and every night at dinner we were like, okay, what are we doing tomorrow? This is what we originally had planned for the day. But from our pending list or from things that we thought we want to do,
Yeah,
what do you want to add
yeah,
in? How do we?
yeah.
And of course, on the day, if you wake up and someone's feeling lazier, then
Yeah,
it's also
yeah.
like, should we just do a pool and beach morning? And
Yeah,
that comes in as well.
Yeah. Nice.
I don't think there's ever a way to be too rigid when you're on
about it,
holiday
yes.
with kids.
Yeah.
So, what are some universal mindset blocks that you see when you're dealing with clients?
So I think this is one common thing I've seen, whether they are teenagers, they're adults, or they are in their late 50s or early 60s. Whether it's a male or a female, one thing that I have seen is where people say, I don't feel enough, when they don't connect and they feel they're always less. You know, so those invisible bars that they have put themselves in is what I see very often.
And anything on how, I guess, when it comes to this, what can also happen in a relationship setting is mismatched expectations. So, how do you suggest people navigate that?
So I feel most of the times when you have expectations, they are not voiced. Right? Like women I have seen, they have expectations. इसने
Absolutely.
क्यों नहीं किया? इसे मैंने कहा था, इसे मैंने reminder भी दिया था, ये क्यों नहीं किया? Okay? So, and you know, these are the conversations you have in your head. Most of the times you've not even told your partner that it has, you know, it's working on you. And you know, the problem is it goes off like an alarm in your head. अभी भी नहीं किया. इससे मैंने कहा था, इसने अभी भी नहीं किया. सुबह से शाम हो गई है, you know. But if you have your expectations voiced, okay, if they are mutual and if they are realistic, anything between the two partners will work.
Okay. I thought you might say something like lowering your expectations, but this is a more.
Why do you want to lower? See, the thing is, when you voice out, when you talk it out with your partner will also say, listen, maybe I think this is not what I can do, but this is something that I can do alternatively, right? Okay. So then you're realistic about it. Okay, I don't want you to lower your expectations. Have very high expectations out of yourself and your partner. Okay. That's how I think you guys will grow.
So how do you guide someone to express their vulnerability without feeling unsafe?
So there's no right time for a person to be vulnerable. But when a person is given safe space freedom of expression, and letting the person be whatever he or she is, that's when a person feels comfortable to be vulnerable. And that is the most beautiful human intervention you will ever have, when a person is vulnerable. Okay, so I think as a coach or a therapist, what you do at that stage is very important. How delicately you hold that person, the person's emotions are very important.
So, any advice on being in that situation with a friend or a colleague or even a child,
Yeah.
on how the other person should react?
Okay, so A is let the person speak, you listen. Okay, don't jump to give advice because that's not what the person needs. Listen, listen empathetically. Okay, maybe if that's the person who's very close to you, hold that person's hand and just be present, because at that time the person just wants that space to express. And another thing that you can do is show trust in that person, that I know you're going through this XYZ at this stage of your life, but just showing that trust that I know you'll come out of it speaks volumes than actually saying, oh, don't worry, you'll be out of it. Okay? Because we as humans tend to take care of the person by saying, kuch nahi hoga, ho jayega.
Yeah.
Right? But don't jump to it. Let the person go through that experience. For us, when we see somebody vulnerable, we also get vulnerable and experience that beautiful transformation happening within you as well.
No, that's true. I think if there are times when you're worried about something or nervous about something, and I'll say this from personal experience, the other person's reactions matter. Like if I'll say that I have a mammo today and I'm really nervous,
yeah.
and someone says everything will be fine,
Yeah,
don't stress, don't this
yeah.
thing, versus saying why are you nervous, I feel like the what I say will be framed on what I know the other person will respond.
Yes. Also, this is a thing between women and men. Okay. When
They
a
need to
woman
fix
wants
things.
comfort,
Yeah.
she likes to be asked, how are you feeling? What
Yeah.
is happening? Because that's how she regulates. She regulates by talking. As opposite to this, if you ask a man, what is happening? What is happening? He'll like, listen, please don't talk to me. I need that quiet time. Okay.
But I feel also in terms of their responses,
Huh.
like if I'm saying this is what I'm feeling, a woman will say, oh, okay, like,
Yeah.
tell me more. Like,
Yeah.
maybe even tell me more about it, or a situation where she's felt the same
Yes.
way. And by the way, all my best friends are male, so it's not said with any judgment.
Okay.
But like, I feel like a male friend will tell you, how do we fix it? And it's a fixer approach and how to make it better and how to this
Yes.
thing, or what is the solution? Like,
Yes.
so that's where they go to, versus giving you a few minutes to express that emotional discomfort and sort of sit with
Yeah.
it.
See, this is where again we go back to the start of our podcast where I said men are told to man up
Yeah.
and not open up. So when you go with the problem or with the so-called problem to them where you would just generally want to express yourself, but they feel they're helping you by giving you solutions.
Yeah.
As opposed to this, if you go to a woman and if you tell her that, listen, this is happening, she's so in tuned with her feelings that she'll be like, acha, aur kya hua? How does that make you feel? I understand.
I've always found women very catty. So, like I said, all my closest friends are men, because in school I always found the girls, like not all, but a lot of them, to be very bitchy. So I've always kept women sort of at an arm's distance, because I feel like there's always some comparison that comes in. And I've taught myself over time not to be like that and not to let my mind get influenced by that.
Where in your childhood did you find, in your childhood or in your adulthood, did you find that women were being catty or bitchy
In school.
in school? And what was that like?
So I don't think I was ever one of the girls. Like, I just couldn't. I maybe at some point, but I couldn't handle that or didn't like that. So I was always one of the boys, and then I kept myself away from that. And till date, my closest friends are those groups that I've grown up with, but all the men. Like my break time was lunch with like some of the guys who would either steal my lunch beforehand, or we'd be sitting this thing, or
Yeah.
playing panja with them. And it's so funny because when my daughter talks about school now, she's
Wow.
like, I beat all the boys in panja today. And I'm like, this is familiar.
Jeans. Okay. Okay. All right. We'll go to the next question. I'm not going anywhere with this because this will require like 2-3 more podcasts because this is very interesting what you mentioned. I like the way you find comfort with men and their way of being as compared to women and their way of being.
But I don't think I'm someone who is very girly, like when it comes to like in a lot of ways. And I don't know if like you guys agree from what you do, but I don't think like I like my accessories and my this thing, but it's always been for me. Like I will shop and I'm not really thinking about, oh, what will so and so think. It's what I like. Like even if it's a brand, and over time I've realized that like I'm always teaching my kids that there's no value in things. It's your value in relationships and your value in people. And then it occurs to me that okay, but I'm someone who will save up for that handbag. But I do it because it makes me happy. It's not about the brand, and I'll wear it like I can use it to the gym. I can use like a Lululemon bag to a night, like to go out. It was not really nightclub scene anymore, but like to a dinner. Like it's not very much about like who I'm showing it off to. It's about how it makes me feel. So I've always been like that, but over time, I also feel like I've evolved to a point where, and that also could be influence of the people around me and a different kind of mindset and stuff. It's not really about who's watching anymore, but and I find somehow that part of it is more relatable with my male friends than with my female friends.
What comfort do you seek in male friends?
Yeah, just companionship, like just friendship. Not even it's like even like a casual dinner or whatever. It's always just more comfortable than it's less competitive and more comfortable.
Okay.
So, Ruhi, I'm shifting the topic a little bit after that quick therapy session that we just did live. I want to talk about AI, and I'm seeing a lot of posts from friends and from people who are now bearing their souls to ChatGPT. How does I even spoke to someone recently who said they did a tarot reading and astrology on ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So we're seeing AI sort of come in and change a lot of fields. How is that impacting you, and how do you feel that it can be used to benefit and also misused?
So what happens is whenever there's something new that comes in, okay, there's a lot of fear because you don't know where you stand with ChatGPT or AI technology. Okay, now the day you know how to use it to your advantage, you will start loving it. The day you get to know that it's going to replace you, you will not love it. Okay, so the idea is that you learn how you can use it in conjunction to your work and to having AI as a part of your life. But if you ask me with regards to coaching and therapy, see, you need to understand that these AI models are made with a lot of codes that have been put into them. There's a lot of information online that's put into them, right? So it will help you understand and figure only from what's been put into it. Okay, every individual is different and unique. You've had a different childhood, you've had a different adulthood, a different experience, a different life partner, 2 kids. So you come from a very different mindset. And ChatGPT not necessarily will understand your emotions because it is not meant to understand emotions. ChatGPT has not gone through a heartbreak. It has not lost its first love. It has not got married. It does not know what fear is. It does not know what guilt and shame is. But we as humans, we do. And when you know your emotions, when you learn where the information is coming to ChatGPT from humans only, right?
Absolutely.
So it is we who've experienced these, right? So we will always be unique. Our experiences will always be unique, but we can always use ChatGPT to get information. But recently, when I read the news that there is no privilege that you have, no privacy that you have of a client and therapist.
Absolutely.
So you need to take care of what's going out because when you don't know what's going out, you're being vulnerable. You don't know how your vulnerability is going to be used against you. It could be this information could be sold to a lot of these platforms who will sell you stuff,
Absolutely, I'm
right?
sure.
And you, because you are in that space, in that soft, fragile space, you will end up buying, you will end up doing things which are not needed. So you have to be very careful of
Yeah.
where you're spending your time, energy, and money.
But that's literally like, I think at this point, everything around us is listening. I
Yeah.
mean, based on what we're speaking now, I'm sure there'll be ads curated accordingly the next time I open my Insta or you open your Insta. So, based on
I feel the technology is hearing you, but humans are not hearing you. That's the problem.
that,
Yeah.
that's reality,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Yeah.
So, coming back to men's health, which is something we talked about briefly when we began, but I would love to dive more into it. What are some of the common concerns you see with your clients and men's health?
So, the thing that I see is that men don't come for therapy easily, but their wives, their girlfriends, and their fiancés too. Okay. So, they come telling me that there is a problem
Yeah.
and how do I solve it. Okay. So, the thing is that you can solve a problem for yourself, right?
Yeah.
You cannot solve a problem for somebody else, but you can do your inner work, understand what triggers you from your partner, work on that,
Okay.
and keep it to that. Okay. With respect to men, when they come, what I have seen is they find it very difficult to express themselves. So they will come, oh, I've had a good childhood. Yeah, everything is good. Yes, everything is good. My work is good. This is good. So then I'm like, okay. So what would take one session for a woman to
Yeah.
open up? It takes almost 3 to 4 sessions for a man
I
to
can
speak about
imagine.
his problem. And when men come, they speak about bullying. They speak about how they have felt not accepted by their parents. How, for them, as much as they do for their partner, they feel rejected and they feel it's never enough for them. And when they come, the crux of it is that मुझे कोई समझ ही नहीं रहा है. Where I'm coming from, what vision I have for the family or what I intend to do, they don't understand me. So they don't feel safe. As much as safety they provide us, right? They don't feel safe in their own space, is what I've seen.
That's really interesting to know, and I feel more people need to talk about it so that they can make sure that at least at home that safe space is provided. But I can imagine that it's hard for men to even get to the point where they're willing to come in.
Yeah, and you know what? I would like to tell people who genuinely want to help now, don't go after men saying, what is it?
Yeah.
Tell me, don't do that. The best you can tell them is that, listen, I know there's something wrong going with you. Whenever you are ready, I'm here for you.
Okay.
And be there. Listen, when he's talking, don't talk about your problems. When he says that something is hurting him, that's not a good time to bring up your problems. You had the time to do that, right? So listen to him, okay? And also when you're listening to him, trust him, okay? He's telling you, but he has the solutions with him and he wants to come up with his own solutions. So again, don't give him unsolicited advice. A. B. Show trust. And see, what you can do is take care of yourself. You know, while he is going silent and quiet, we as women know we don't like that silent
No, we'll keep
silence.
probing.
Yes. And why is that?
This is the silence is uncomfortable in general.
Yes.
And I think we also tend to overthink and wonder if we've done something wrong.
Yes. And what happens when somebody goes silent on you? What feelings that brings up in you?
Insecurity.
Yes. So a woman starts feeling insecure while a man is trying to understand and process his emotions. Okay, so that's the problem that's happening. So he wants his silence, give him his silence.
Yeah.
You go out with your girls or you go out with your friends. Okay, and you take care of your mental health, because when you take care of yourself, he will feel एक चीज मुझे और कम ध्यान देनी है. At least she's taking care of herself, so the load is not on me. So that's how at least you can make this space better and loving for him.
That's a really good takeaway, and I hope everyone who's listening absorbs that a little bit and it makes their lives a little bit easier. I have one last question for you, and that's a very hot topic, and that's Gen Z. I know how fun they are to deal with in the workplace. And how difficult, and I think I frequently do a rant about this somewhere on stories about the lack of work ethic or
Yeah.
and honestly not each one is like that. We have some Gen Z employees who have really been brilliant to work with, and very creative and very good at out of the box thinking, but overall it's a very different generation, and different and in some ways difficult to relate to as well. I definitely follow some pages on Insta that literally talk just about Gen Z in the workplace. But let's look at it from a broader perspective. Tell me your views on Gen Z and what you're seeing, and in a way that gives us tips and tricks to navigate it a little bit better, the generational divide.
So I feel Gen Zs are the most smartest, intelligent, what we have in human species right now. Also, I feel because they know they're talented, they give you output in a very short period of time.
Okay.
Okay, and then they like doing things, and they spend time, quality time, doing things that they really like. And that's when you think they are lazy, but they're not lazy, they're very smart. Okay, also what I see in Gen Z's is this is completely what I feel. Okay, I see a lot of fear in them. Okay, and that fear is rooted in different ways. Okay, they keep to themselves. They feel scared of hurt, emotional hurt, and but they're beautiful people to be with, to hang out with. They are very caring. They'll brush it like, oh, I don't care, but it's not that they don't care. They are emotional. And I feel they are, if you sort of work well with them, you will understand a different side to them from where they're coming. See, what happened was our fathers and mothers, they struggled, right? They had us. What is one thing that they told us? That listen, we've had a very tough life, okay, to bring you up. So you go educate yourself, ensure that you have enough money because money is very important. So the values they gave you is different.
Yeah.
But now when you see Gen Z is growing up, they have money, they have a sound childhood, they have good education. So what has happened is now they are focusing on mental health, which we didn't,
Yeah.
which our parents didn't. Okay, so they are privileged in a way, but they're also using their privilege in the right way.
Okay. It's a very different take on
Yeah.
it. And this was super informative. Thank you so much, Ruhi, for being here. For everyone listening, I hope you enjoyed this and took away a lot of words of wisdom. And don't forget to hit subscribe.